Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to CCTV News.
Good morning. I'm really happy to be here with you.
This is an early morning interview. Italians are very efficient, reflecting from the schedule of the Prime Minister, I guess.
Oh, this is a very important moment. G20 organization is wonderful, but we don't have a lot of time. So early morning was the only way, and I'm really happy to be here with you in the very interesting moment waiting for the G20 organized by Chinese government.
I remember one of your ancient person, Marco Polo, of course, a so familiar name to Chinese and Italians. 13th century, he talked about Hangzhou, the city hosting G20 Summit, as magnificent and noble city. This is an exact quote, because at the time that was the capital city of the Southern Song dynasty in China. And today, what kind of noble cause can China and Italian work together?
Well, I personally think Chinese government, Italian government, but particularly Chinese people and Italian people are very strong friends. Exactly for the great power message by the past. You described the Marco Polo and the reaction of Marco Polo in Hangzhou, but we can discuss about Matteo Renzi, about a lot of people from China in Italy, from Italy in China. So, first of all, we have to recognize this great friendship between our people. And then I think this friendship could become a very important asset for the future, because G20 in Hangzhou, it's a very great opportunity in a strong moment of the international life of community. We have a lot of problems around the world, not only in the economic field for the growth or for the inequality, but also for the difficulties around the world. So, Italy and China could use this friendship from the past to try to give a message of hope to the new generations and to our colleagues in this event. I think it's really important to combine together the great values of the past with the great inspiration for the future.
And you had a great bilateral meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping once you arrived in this town of Hangzhou. What did you say to one another? What about that ancient culture linking up to the future?
I think we have a lot of opportunities in this way. Surely we have a lot of opportunities to increase our bilateral relation and bilateral economic cooperation. But I think not only about economy, I think about the importance of growth, of exchange of students, about the possible bilateral cooperation in Africa together. I think about the possibility of cooperation in the healthcare system. I believe the most important quality of Italian people in this moment is the great attention about food, healthcare, lifestyle, combined together a good longevity with a good experience of life. And we discussed with President Xi Jinping also about that. And we can continue in terms of cooperation, innovation, technology, engineering. High-level cooperation in manufacturing, not only fashion, food, or football. This is a moment in which two Chinese entrepreneurs are the owner of two of the most important teams in Italy around the world, Inter and Milan. So we have a lot of possibilities, and we discussed about that with President Xi Jinping. Personally, I consider the priority give this message to transform with the structural reforms our countries in countries focused on the tomorrow and not of yesterday, because China and Italy are very different as size, as population. But I believe they are the same approach, because this is a moment of structural reforms, and these structural reforms have to transform our country in country focused on the future. This is the link most important after the conversation and the dialogue with the President Xi Jinping.
Very impressive. Chinese President Xi Jinping, during his opening ceremony for the B20, he also talked about reform, the challenges ahead for China to further reform, and with somewhat fast speed. I guess for your country, it's also similar. Mr. Prime Minister, many say you're bold and brave in pushing forward the referendum likely to come in October to change the constitution so that politics in your country can move forward to catch up with the changes of the economy.
After a lot of years, finally something is changed in our country. And a new generation give a message of radical change in Italy. This message have some consequences. Just to make one example, to reduce the costs of organization of politicians, to give a message of more efficiency, a very strong fight against corruption, because I think for my country this is a great priority. And when last year we organized the Expo in Milan, we achieved an incredible result exactly because we fought against corruption with a new infrastructure in this way, led by a former judge against mafia and Camorra. So we consider important give a message of radical change. This message of radical change is a message of constitutional referendum, and I'm really confident about the intentions of Italian people to choose the future. The alternative is very clear. If we vote yes, we enter in the future. If we vote no, we continue with the same approach of the past. I think it's time for Italy to choose the future. I consider a priority for a politician to believe in the ideals. And the ideals is the ideals are the only thing important in political career. So I'm not worried. I believe and I'm confident about the vote of Italian people.
And there are interesting ideas popping up all the time, including OBOR, One Belt, One Road. Italy has been a country from the very beginning, actively listening and even willing to participate. But how, Mr. Prime Minister? Action plans? Implementation plans?
I think we have a lot of possibilities if we follow One Belt, One Road. But in my mind, the priority is the decision achieved by Italian government to change the harbor and port regulation. This is very great opportunity. Why? Because Italy is a land of sea. And the conclusion of road from China to Europe could be exactly the Italian harbor, Italian ports. The real priority in this moment is decide the common investments, but today it's possible to consider One Belt, One Road a great opportunity, exactly, particularly, especially in this way. At the same time, I think we have a common goal, 2020, the last year of 13 program of Chinese government, and at the same time, the 50th anniversary of relation between Italy and China. So 2020 could become a very great moment to show the concrete results of One Belt, One Road in Italy.
The relationship between you and the Chinese leaders have been upgrading all the time. I see you coming to this country to visit. You're coming next year for another state visit with the invitation of the Chinese president. What do you think these kinds of interactions among leadership of both countries, the chemistry being created, might be able to help the two countries when it comes to policy making and also future interactions and innovation?
This relation is absolutely crucial for create a new approach, because the world is totally different in respect to the past. Totally different. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the relation between countries are particularly difficult. Now is a totally different world. We are totally interconnected. Globalization is the normal life of day by day. Yeah. So create a more efficient relation between the leaders summit, leaders bilateral meeting is absolutely a priority. But we have not only this point as priority as Italian government with the Chinese government, because next year Italy will lead the G7 community. Yes. So I think I'm really interested to understand the conclusion of Hangzhou summit, also to create an agenda. My priority is combine together culture and education with economy, because this is one of the most important assets of Italy. Also, against the problem of security, of terrorism. We invest a lot of money in security, but we have to invest the same money in culture, education, theater, museum, sports, football, because we have to give a message to our population, combined together at this point. So next year we will have the G7 in Italy after G20 in China. The President of the Republic of Italy, Sergio Mattarella, will be here for a state visit next in the first months of 2017. Myself, I come back in China for the third time in 3 years next year. So we work together with great determination, with a lot of friendship, and I'm confident about the great opportunities of our cooperation. Obviously, I wait President Xi Jinping in Italy, and obviously in my incredible city, Florence.
Located in southern Europe, Italy is one of the most alluring destinations for travelers from around the world. And with Britain soon to exit the EU, Italy will shortly become a bigger player in the bloc. The country's own moment of reckoning is nigh, with a referendum on constitutional reform likely to go ahead this autumn. The reform is sponsored by Prime Minister Matteo Renzi and aimed at reducing fragmentation in Italian politics. The idea is to increase executive stability and the efficiency of the whole system. But Renzi has staked his political future on the outcome. He says he will resign if the vote goes against him. Either way, Italy will be in a position to wield influence over the EU's future direction.
Mr. Prime Minister, you are innovative, some say, in politics, not only in your internal politics to change your politics, but also in the inter-country relations on the European continent. Many pointed out your interactions with Germany and also your conversations and encounters with Chancellor Merkel. Many say, what kinds of role does this Prime Minister in Italy wants his country to have? And how is that related to the ever-rising roles of some of the other countries, such as Germany? Help us to paint a picture of Europe, Mr. Prime Minister, that you have in your mind.
My view is the same. I believe Europe was an incredible gift by our fathers and our grandfathers. Europe gave us 70 years of peace, of prosperity, after centuries of civil war in our continent. So really Europe is one of the most great opportunities for the new generations. But at the same time, in the last period, Europe lost a lot of attractiveness, of dynamism. And we have to necessity to give a message of energy, of innovation. This is the role of new leaders in Europe. Germany is the most important country as a number of citizens, as a level of economy, but also German leader knows it's not enough. Germany alone is not enough. Germany is able to lead a lot of economic fields because 15 years ago, Germany's leaders decided to invest in the future. Just to make one example, Germany's leaders changed labor market legislation in 2003. my government was forced to change labor market in 2014 because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we lost the momentum, we lost the time to change labor market. And if we change now labor market, the reaction arrive in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So Germany today is the leader, but Germany needs the support of other countries. And the first to understand this very important statement is exactly Angela Merkel, the Chancellor, because the Chancellor knows the importance of cooperation and support to other people with Germany. My idea is that try to persuade everyone, particularly Chancellor Merkel and the President Hollande, to work together, to give a message of tomorrow, to push in direction of the future. And just 10 days ago, I hosted them in a very little island called Ventotene. Yeah. In this island, in 1941, 3 people arrested by Nazis and fascists decided to write a very important document, a very important manifesto for the United States of Europe. During the war, it's an incredible message of vision. So I hosted Angela Merkel and François Hollande in Ventotene to give the same message. We can push in direction of the future if we choose the ideals and not only simply the bureaucracy. This is the challenge today for Europe.
Right. Europe now these days faces so much challenges. We all know Brexit. We do not know yet its impact. There's also the migrant crisis, and you got Middle East in a way being turned all side down. So what would that mean for Europe? Meanwhile, you've got economies in Europe suffering to a certain extent for quite a long time. And as you said, gridlock in politics in many European countries. What would this mean for Europe? What would that mean for something like the EU? Are you still confident about it?
I think Brexit could become the most great opportunity for Europe. I'm sad for the decision of our friends, our British friends, but when the people vote for leave, the people vote for leave, point. That's. So this means Brexit have to be really a Brexit, so an exit by UK from EU. And at the same time, EU could become a place more attractive, more dynamic, more energetic, but we need an attention more focused on growth and not on austerity, on investments and not on bureaucracy, on politics and not on technocrats. This is the challenge. We can use Brexit to give new energy to Europe, but we have to change the approach. More attention about growth and less than austerity.
And we are seeing the G20 this time. What do you consider as the Prime Minister of Italy and an active member of international politics as successful result, if there is a result?
The results of this meeting will be clear in the next months, not in the next hours, because when we organize meetings on that, the real consequences arrive just after some months, some weeks. But my goal, I think the goal most important in this momentum of the life of international politics is combine together growth with equality. Create a climate to help the middle class and give a message of strong link between growth and equality. The growth is for everyone, not also for someone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. I hope there will be more breath of fresh air for today's politics. Really appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Bye-bye.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.